And away we go. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone, wherever you happen to be in the world today. Welcome one and all to Coffee Talk. It is time once again for Coffee Talk Live, where we will be having some discussion about what is going on in the world today. We'll take a look at some clips from the news, share a little bit of dialogue with those of you who are able to join us for the live portion. And if you are listening anywhere else and you wanted to join the live portion, you can find us Monday through Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on YouTube on Coffee Talk and Prepper University. That's at Coffee Talk Live and at Prepper University. You can find me on X at Coffee Talk Chat, fistfulofradio.com, podcasting out of Atlanta. And you can find me on Rumble, Coffee Talk 2, and that's the number 2. Being joined today again by Miss Kitty, sitting in the chair behind me, looking very comfortable. And I'll go ahead and say hello to some of the people who are able to join us so far for the live portion. See, Puck is with us. Jeff, Helter, Jimmy, Dragon, Brian, Monkey, New York Patriot, jumping in today. And hello to everyone else who is watching and is unable or unwilling to comment and say hello. It's okay. Monkey said, did you see Trump paused most of the tariffs for 90 days except for China with 125%? That's because China's the only one not trying to negotiate at this point. And D'Lo is here. Puck wants to know, when does he get his degree? From the School of Hard Knocks. There's no certificate for that, I'm sorry. As we get ready to jump off here, and of course you saw the thumbnail, we will be talking about Karmelo Anthony today a little bit more, and then we'll put it to bed because you're not going to find out much more until the trial starts. But there's still enough speculation to go around, especially after the trolling that took place in here yesterday. And it always strikes me as interesting when people do that, because it's like you could go and find a video source, a podcast, anything where people will agree with you and pat you on the back. Why do you want to go somewhere where you're going to try to create conflict? So what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Hey, a side note here, real quick. Anyone here eaten at Sonic lately? You know Sonic, the so-called last drive-through or drive-in, Sonic drive-ins. It's not really even a drive-in anymore. And I ask because we rarely do this. My wife and I, over the weekend, we were like, hey, you feel like a shake? Feel like getting a milkshake? That'd be nice. We rarely go out anywhere, once every couple of months, maybe. And every place we end up at, Monkey says, haven't been there in over a decade and a half. I don't blame you. Every place that we go to, it ends up on a list of places we'll never go to again. And now Sonic is on that list. Some because of poor food quality, and some because of poor service. And in this case, it's both marks. We went to a Sonic. We were there more than 20 minutes. Waiting for 2 shakes, okay? 2 milkshakes, allegedly milkshakes. I'm going to get to that in a second. And we were like, they weren't busy. There was like one car ahead of us. And, a girl comes out. She's got braids down to her knees and eyelashes that are 3 inches long. Thank y'all for waiting. Okay, great. And we leave. We finally get our expensive shakes, by the way. These things are more than $5 a piece for a little cup of shit. And I'm like, what is this? This is not a milkshake. This is like a corn syrup shake. Did it actually say milkshake on the menu, or did it say shake? And my wife is like, I'm not sure. And I'm willing to bet it just says shake on the menu, because you can't call it a milkshake if there's no milk in it. And I'm like, it had this greasy aftertaste, and I'm like, no, I can't drink this. This is corn syrup. The whole thing is corn syrup. And you see that if you go to the ice cream aisle in any supermarket, right? Be very careful that it doesn't say frozen treat on it instead of ice cream. If it says frozen treat, the whole thing's made out of corn syrup. It's really disgusting. New York Patriot said, had Sonic a few times, not a fan. Cruising is here, says return from a hiatus included a road trip, standardized torture testing, and a hospital stay. Oh, no. You had some trouble? Big Red is here. He says Trump is trying to destroy China. China's on a huge bubble anyway. They're on a huge real estate bubble from all of the cities that they built that they thought they were going to fill with all the people that are living out in the countryside. They thought they were going to bring everybody in and make them go to factories, and they won't do it. So you got cities that can contain 2 million people that have like maybe 10,000 living in them, and they're falling apart. Tuck likes Sonic. Oh no, I really go partly because I'm allergic to half the menu. I usually get a hot dog and tater tots. Don't really go for anything sweet. Okay. There you go. Yeah, New York Patriot Ghost Cities, exactly. They have one that's an exact replica of Paris, including the Eiffel Tower. And nobody's there. It's been there for years. Brian said Sonic might be better if it was owned by Sega. Oh, there it is, Brian. You created the Peabody moment of the day. The Peabody moment of the day right there. Of course, Peabody, known for his puns on the Rocky and Bullwinkle show. He always closed out with a pun. And then Sherman would say, "Oh, Mr. Peabody, don't." And then he would do it anyways. But a couple of interesting things coming out of this discussion. We talked about this ad nauseum yesterday, and I want to run it over a little bit more today, and then hopefully put it to bed for a little while, because there's no point speculating any further until they actually get to court, because you got to be really careful about what you see and hear. There's already been false police reports or false statements made from a source claiming to be the chief of police in the community where that boy was stabbed in Texas, claiming to be the chief of police, and it turned out to be completely false. The chief of police knows nothing about it. Okay. And they're investigating it because that's impersonating an officer, and they want to arrest whoever put it up. Okay. Puck wants to know if Brianna Rivers has been arrested for assault yet. Not that I'm aware of. But first I wanted to, and Kimberly put me onto this because of a video she saw on the subject, and I'm going to open this up. And this is unfortunately Wikipedia, but it's not inaccurate, okay? And it's about community relations services. Community relations services. And community relations services, CRS. And I'll read you what it says it is here really quickly. All right, Community Relations Service, part of the United States Department of Justice. The office is intended to act as a peacemaker for community conflicts and tensions arising from differences in race, color, nation, national origin, gender identity, sexual orientation, religion, and disability. Okay. So what they do, it says it is the only federal agency dedicated to assist state and local units of government, private and public organizations, and community groups with preventing and resolving racial and ethnic tensions, incidents, and civil disorders, and in restoring racial stability and harmony by employing conciliators. And I don't trust conciliators. I'll tell you that right off the bat, because I've had to deal with conciliators in family court, and they'll cause more problems than they solve. Okay. I don't trust conciliators, period. So what this community relations service does, and they did this to this family, okay, of the boy that was murdered. They show up at your house, show their badges, and intimidate you out of talking to the press. And they typically, I'll put that up from Big Red. I don't know if I can read it, Big Red, because you know I get in a lot of trouble with YouTube. But I'll put it up there for you. Excuse me. They go and they knock on your door. A couple of officers flash their badge, and they coerce you into not speaking your mind when you talk to the press. And they tell you, well, if you make it sound like it's racism, or you make it sound like it's this or that, your home may be targeted, your children may be in danger at school, you may have problems at work. They coerce you. at a time when you're vulnerable and grieving, they coerce you. Okay. And primarily, they go out to Caucasian families because there's really little record that I'm aware of looking into this of them showing up at, like, for example, Carmelo Anthony's house and trying to coach them. This is their idea of avoiding community conflict, is coercing families. I would love for a family to try to record one of those interactions. And I'm kind of displeased, I guess, disappointed that a family would allow themselves to be coerced in that way, especially under those circumstances. There are clearly some underlying factors here, and we're going to get into that in a little bit. The fact that this organization even exists, and you can thank Lyndon B. Johnson for this. Lyndon B. This comes out of Lyndon B. Johnson's administration. And there's the question Big Red said, why did Carmelo Anthony have a knife at his school track meet? It's a fair question. It's a fair question. Like I said, we're going to be unwrapping a little bit of that. We talked about it some yesterday, and it says it right here, created by the Civil Rights Act 1964 and under the Department of Justice by order of President Johnson, LBJ, the man who started it all. The man who started it all. Lyndon B. Johnson has caused a lot of problems. He's got a lot of programs in place that have caused a lot of problems for everybody that we're still feeling now. New York says, I know I sure as hell would not be silenced. In fact, I would be more inclined to be louder. I don't blame you. And I'd like to say the same thing. They don't tell me anything. Let them come on. Let them come on. Now, again, I've been trolled over this. I was trolled over this yesterday, and I didn't really bother to respond to the person because there's no point. Well, when they were in here, when they were in the podcast, trolling the comments, because there's no point. You can't. Some people, you can't tell them anything. You can't tell them anything. They either are unwilling to listen or lack the capacity to understand what you're talking about. Or as the Bible says, don't argue with fools. Paraphrasing just a little bit there. This is going to be a Newsweek article coming up, and this just goes to show you the direction that the country has gone in. Carmelo Anthony Give Send Go raises $270,000 for defense. Now it's up to $270,000. Okay. Online fundraiser for Carmelo Anthony, 17-year-old Texas high school athlete accused of murdering fellow student Austin Metcalf. Oh, he's not accused. He said so himself. I'm not alleged, I did it. Isn't that the quote? Has raised more than $270,000. On April 2nd, 17-year-old Metcalf, a student at Memorial High School in Frisco, a northern suburb of Dallas, was fatally stabbed at the Kuykendall Stadium, if I pronounce that right. Anthony, a Centennial High School student and football player, see, they're not from the same school, was arrested in connection with the incident and charged with first-degree murder. He is in custody with a bond set at $1 million. So as of 7:17 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on Wednesday, the Help Carmelo Office official fund, which Anthony's family set up on the crowdfunding website Give Send Go, has amassed $271,503 towards a $350,000 target. Originally, it was an $80,000 target, if I remember, and they keep moving the goalpost up because money keeps coming in. The page says, quote, this is the official support fund for Carmelo and his family during this challenging and difficult time. The narrative being spread is false, unjust, and harmful. As a family of faith, aren't they all? We are deeply grateful for all of your support during this trying period. Your prayers and assistance mean more to us now than ever. Everybody's a family of faith. Everybody's got good. Everybody's got. Everybody says he's a good kid, and they say that about everybody, all walks of life, no matter who it is. I see Fluke Man has joined us. Doesn't matter who it is, all walks of life. White kid, black kid, Hispanic kid. Oh, he was a good kid. Oh, he goes to church. Oh, he got good grades. Whatever. In addition to this, there is another crowd fund. So on top of the Give, Send, Go, there is also a GoFundMe, which has currently, as of the time of this article, raised $142,584. So we're closing in on the $500,000 mark between the two. Okay. It says, according to, where are we here? Because the page bounced. Give me a second here so I can get on the right track. According to the arrest report, the altercation began when Metcalf asked Anthony to move from under Memorial's pop-up tent, at which point one witness said Anthony reached into a bag and replied, "Touch me and see what happens." The report said Metcalf grabbed Anthony to get him to move, and Anthony pulled out a black knife and stabbed Austin once in the chest. Wound was fatal. The wound was fatal. Arrest report says Anthony confessed to the police, saying, "I'm not alleged, I did it." He later says, "I was protecting myself because he put his hands on me." Put his hands on me. Nature Nerd is here. He says, gifts and go criminal sympathizers or criminals themselves. Indeed. Absolutely, indeed. Let's just fix this. Lukeman says, got a feeling they know their son will be found guilty and only set up the GoFundMe to might as well cash in while there's still time, and that's very likely. A lot of families do this now. This is the thing to do. This is the thing to do. The emphasis here, and this is important, and I talked about it a little bit yesterday, that the bail is set at $1 million. So this is done for a variety of reasons. Reason number one is that, and I don't know anything about the family, but often when it's a high bail, it's because the family has money. Okay? It's because the family has money. And Big Red, I'll put that up again. Don't know if I could say it, but I'll put your comment up there real quick. It's usually the family has money, and the judge doesn't want that kid to go free because, one, he feels like he is really guilty, that it premeditated. He showed up with armed and went immediately to lethal force. If I'm from the judge's perspective, okay, dealt with a lot of judges when I was in juvenile justice. This kid, because he went immediately to lethal force, it looks premeditated. It looks immediately premeditated, okay? Secondly, when you're talking about the use of lethal force when you're claiming self-defense, and this is also from the judge's perspective, and this is what a lot of people don't understand. When you use lethal force in a self-defense situation, what the law likes to see, and I'm seeing a lot of this, people are going on and saying, oh, well, justice for Mello. Have you been seeing this? They're calling him Mello now. Justice for Mello, justice for Mello. Justice may not be what you expect it to be. Because from this perspective of raw justice, and I know it varies slightly from state to state, but my understanding with that from experience is in situations of lethal force where it's used, even if the other individual is not killed, maimed or seriously injured or killed, It has to be tit for tat. It has to be equal measure, I think is the term they use, equal measure. So we'll say Metcalf produced the knife, so Anthony produced the knife. Now it's equal measure. And if the other kid got killed, then you can call that manslaughter or involuntary manslaughter. I was trying to defend myself. He died. I'm in a parking lot. Some guy rushes up on me with a baseball bat, starts swinging away. I pull a knife out. He dies in the process. I go to court. Judge sits there and says, well, you could have been killed by that bat. Involuntary manslaughter. Maybe I'll get probation. You see what I'm saying? And it depends. I'm just speculating here. Depends on the circumstances. There is no measure for measure here. There's no measure for measure here. He went directly to lethal force, which is also why the bail has been set so high. New York Patriot said, for what I've learned, is mutual combat allowed in Texas, but because a weapon, there it is, weapon was introduced, it changes things. Exactly. Mutual combat, if I guess that's what they call it in Texas. Cruising says, if you stabbed a dude in the chest over being shooed out of a place, you're not supposed to be who won't you murder? Oh, I see. The dude at Burger King because your fries took too long. Exactly. There's no, what's the limit? And Marvel Fan has joined us. Puck says they'll try to move the trial to Houston or DC. They might want to move the trial out of the county, because if they do that, it's going to be because they don't want the locals to be too emotional. But you're not going to get away with that because it's all over the media everywhere already. It's all over the media everywhere already. But they've already raised damn near $500,000 between GiveSendGo and GoFundMe. I had people commenting on the video yesterday saying that they donated to it, which may not even be true. I don't know if you made a donation. I don't care either. But know what you're doing. Know what you're doing. He was in the wrong place. He got into an altercation. He made a threat. And you know how kids are with bravado. I dare to touch me and see what happens. I dare you, whatever. What's the other kid going to do? He's going to overreact. He's going to get emotional. So what did he do? He pushed the kid, and pushing him, automatic response was lethal response. And that looks really premeditated. That looks premeditated. Marvel fan said, right, major mental issue. You kill anyone for anything. That's psychotic behavior. Tuck says, when I was a teen, 2 teens from my neighborhood, a 14-year-old killed a 17-year-old killed a 14-year-old in front of a crowd with a bat, got 12 years and served 7. One of the girls that I had in my facility when I was working for JJA that was transferred to my facility came from juvenile hall. She was in full juvenile corrections, and mine was a YRC2, so I was a halfway house to try to reintegrate kids coming out of juvenile justice. And she was like, what, 19? And she had been in there since she was 12 for slashing another girl's throat over a boyfriend. Now, there's a lot of rumors getting kicked around. About that Karmelo was being bullied. Okay? Karmelo was being bullied. Marvel fan says kids see this and will think if anything like this happens to them, they might harm anyone thinking it'll make money. Yeah, because look at the GoFundMe's pouring in. Look at it. I wish I could put up a GoFundMe and make $500,000 to take care of my feline friends and whatever else. That would be fantastic. Not going to happen. Not going to happen. But stuff like this, it's crazy. And these people don't even know for sure what's going on. They're not even sure exactly what's going on. The family's making bank. very easily, very quickly. Very easily and very quickly. And it seems really highly inappropriate under the circumstances. Now, again, there's the rumor mill. Oh, well, this other kid was bullying Karmelo. Okay. He was bullying Karmelo. So naturally, reporters have been going around to the schools, talking to people. Hey, do you know anything about this? Well, guess what? Check this out from People Magazine. Check this out. This really throws a big kibosh on everything. Witnesses say track stabbing suspect and victim didn't even know each other. Didn't even know each other. Two 17-year-olds whose dispute ended in a fatal stabbing at Texas high school track meet did not know each other prior to the incident. Oh, I love it. Carmelo Anthony is accused of stabbing Austin Metcalf at Kukendall Stadium in Frisco. Probable cause affidavit previously obtained by People Magazine states that witnesses told police the altercation began when Metcalf asked Anthony to move from under the tent that was set up for the track team. CBS News reported the witness said that Metcalf and Anthony did not know each other. According to the police affidavit, a witness said Anthony responded by reaching into his backpack and allegedly saying, "Touch me and see what happens." The witnesses said that, The witnesses said Metcalf touched Anthony, and the latter allegedly responded by daring the former to punch him. Metcalf then went to try and physically move Anthony. So he didn't punch him, he tried to move him, who then allegedly pulled out a knife and stabbed Metcalf, according to the affidavits. The affidavits claim that Anthony admitted that he stabbed Metcalf to a responding police officer. Quote, "He put his hands on me. I told him not to." Anthony also allegedly asked the officer if what had happened constituted as self-defense, and he is currently charged with murder and being held on $1 million bail. We know that. So now they're saying, yeah, and that was all the bullying, and people have been looking into it. And evidently, they don't even really know each other. Maybe not formally. Perhaps they've met each other before. I suppose, because I was wondering if maybe Carmelo was coming in there trying to stir something up on purpose to create a situation by which he could retaliate. Puck says all of my cats would have diamond-studded collars from Tiffany's. Now, I wouldn't waste a penny on frivolity. Not hardly. I'd get them some nice outdoor habitats, and not have to worry about food. The food gets expensive, but whatever. But yeah, I don't even wear jewelry. I don't even wear my wedding ring. I have it, but I don't wear it. Marvel fan says if bullied, then stay away from the person. Why was he right there? Cruising said people throw the term bullying around like they have no idea what it means. Indeed. I was bullied in school. I didn't do that to anybody. I was in a lot of fights in school too. I was bullied by my mother. Marvel fan says he was from another school, right? Correct. They were from different schools. They may have bumped into each other at events, track meet, something like that. Fluke Man says, I read the comments, proof evil is made, not born in videos. People have done terrible deeds, but managed to turn their lives around. So they took one thing from one person, and that's the evidence. New York Patriot, I want to know how he was being bullied from someone in a completely different school. The amount of circles that they are doing. Indeed. ARN says it was raining. At the track meet, Brian says people try to provoke because they think you will attack them, think they will win, and think they can make it look like self-defense. That's true. A lot of times people will try to provoke you into assaulting them figuring that in most circumstances, the average person is not going to attack you, but you never know what you're getting yourself into. How many videos have you seen on YouTube where someone gets in someone's face and then they get laid out? Puck says, do we know what the school's racial makeup is? That I'm not sure of. That I am not sure of the racial makeup on either school. Nature Nerd says, what's the past? What was the past of this violent high schooler? Was he in a gang? Is his family violent? Yeah, and that all is a factor as well that would have to come out in court. If it's allowed in court, because sometimes they restrict things, especially when minors are involved, from being discussed in court. And as we already spoke about at the very beginning, obviously poor Metcalf's family has already been bullied by the community relations services who came to their house and coerced them into restricting some of what they would have liked to say. Shall we put it that way? But I just thought that was fascinating after all the bullying stories, because I'm like, okay, although that would make him incredibly weak to take someone's life over being bullied, there's really not any excuse for this. There's not any excuse for that type of rapid escalation where the immediate response and outcome is lethal. Again, if they both were armed, well, I would chalk that up as a duel. And again, the law has provisions for that. Okay, this was of equal force, an equal force situation. Both people had a gun. One guy was running with a machete and the other guy fired. He had a pistol. That machete is lethal force. The pistol is lethal force. Court understands that. The court typically understands that. This doesn't make any sense. This doesn't make any sense. Puck says exactly as a minor, defense might be able to hide his record, but might be different for a murder case. If the judge decides to try it as an adult, and he is old enough, at 17, he could be tried as an adult. In which case, we'll see. We'll see what happens. And Country Living is here. Glad you could make it today. You missed the troll, Country. He came back for a second dose. It didn't work out very well, which is unfortunate. And again, I'm getting some of that. There's going to be the hate. There's going to be the accusations. People, you can try to sit there and speak about this logically, and people either don't want to hear it because they want to believe a certain way, or B, they lack the capacity to understand what you're talking about, and you can't tell them anything. You can't tell them anything. It's a waste of time. And that's why I usually ignore those sorts of things when they come down the pipe. And it's a shame. It's a shame, but I don't see where that's, I don't care what color the kid is. If you go immediately to lethal force and there's no reason for it, then yeah, you're guilty. And people are spinning this narrative of, that they're a family of faith. He got good grades, which, in public school, that ain't so hard. He got good grades. He doesn't have a criminal record. He's not a criminal. Don't believe the media. Well, I hate to break your heart, but he's a criminal now. He's a criminal now. Okay? It's not going to be involuntary manslaughter. It's not going to be an involuntary manslaughter class or case. Nature Nerd says, when I was in high school, people in my class were running from the cartels in Mexico, and back then the gangs posed the crimes on Facebook, so people in the town stayed fearful. Interesting. And Puck says, you're big time when you get trolls. I guess. It doesn't feel big time. It doesn't feel big time, And on Coffee Talk, I know there's fewer viewers on Coffee Talk than Prepper University. because this, of course, this casts to both channels. Here it is. He was a bright young man with a great future ahead of him. He was a leader of men. His smile would light up the room. His passion for football was unbelievable. This is Metcalf's father. He was voted team MVP in the past season, carried a 4.0 GPA. And again, I'm not impressed by a 4.0 GPA from a public school, but okay. He was looking forward to taking his game to the next level. His commitment, dedication, leadership, and sheer grit made him rise to the level of success that he desired. And according to this, there is also a GoFundMe for Metcalf, which is up to $275,000. Okay, so there is a counter, although Karmelo's GoFundMe and Give Go whatever accounts are nearly double that combined. Spectre says, I've been listening from the start, just haven't commented. He's doing a remodeling job. That's all right. Well, glad you're here. Raccoon says, trolls don't realize that when they watch and leave comments, they are helping that channel. No. And again, it's really, to me, kind of a sad thing. What a lonely, sad person you must be if your enjoyment is trying to initiate arguments with people out of ignorance. You know, you could just as easily go to a channel where people believe what you're talking about and have people pat you on the back for your comments. Why do you want to go someplace where you're going to possibly run into conflict? It's pretty sad. That's pretty sad to me. Sad and unfortunate. But what are you going to do? I just don't understand it. Why do you want to sit there and argue with people who aren't going to listen to you or don't want to hear your viewpoints? I wonder if they even believe what they're talking about. Do you even really believe what you're talking about? You know what I mean? Or do you just want to say the opposite of whatever channel you happen across so that you can try to upset somebody and that's how you get your jollies? Jimmy thinks that people get paid to be trolls. Well, they get bots that'll do that. Tuck said the trolls take screenshots, post them on their favorite Reddit threads so they can all rage together like hornets. Incredible. Puck says trolls just divert, disrupt, distract from the topic at hand. And it is a little distracting. It is a little distracting because, you know, you glance over at the comments and you see something weird and you're like, what the hell are they talking about? And it can throw you off your train of thought for a few seconds. You know, it depends. Nature Nerd says Lars Larson on the radio puts on naysayer callers first. Lars Larson. I don't know if I've heard them. The name sounds familiar, but I don't know if I've heard them. But then, you know, I'm not traveling in big circles in the podcasting community, as it were. But we'll get out of that. And it really, you don't want to speculate too much until actual evidence comes forward and it ends up in court. And it might be a minute before it can get to court. And I'll be surprised if the judge budges on that bail. I'd be really surprised. They're trying to get him to change the bail. I don't trust it. Yeah, Fluke Man says hearing nothing from Anthony and Metcalf's schools. Their history students, teachers, and head teacher guess it's an ongoing investigation. Yeah, not only that, though, but they've got to be really careful about talking about a student. They have to be really careful talking about a student. But again, this is part of the problem. Everybody's speculating and getting all emotional about it before everything is fully revealed. It causes a lot of more harm than good. And the media loves feeding into this. And unfortunately, again, there is a double standard, because if the roles were reversed, you'd have riots. Or if both students were the same color, you wouldn't see it in the media at all. It would barely be a blurb in local news in that county. Barely be a blurb in the local news. Nobody would care. Nobody would care. If it was two black kids or two white kids, media silence. It doesn't matter. But mix it up, and the media loves that. They love it. But getting into corruption, more government corruption. Let's get on track with that Associated Press article. We've talked about this woman before, and she denied everything. Well, now she's pleading guilty. Boston councilwoman to plead guilty to federal corruption charges in kickback schemes. And there she is. Boston City Councilor. What was her name again? Tanya Fernandez Anderson. Tanya Fernandez Anderson. There she is. Democrat, of course. Boston City Councilor on Tuesday agreed to plead guilty to federal corruption charges after prosecutors accused her of taking most of an inflated bonus that she paid to a relative who worked for her. Under the agreement, Tanya Fernandez Anderson will plead guilty to 1 count each of wire fraud and theft concerning a program receiving federal funds. The U.S. Attorney's Office said in a statement. In exchange, prosecutors dropped 4 additional wire fraud counts against the 46-year-old lawmaker, who in 2021 became the first African immigrant and Muslim American elected to that particular council. Oh, see, she made history. God, I hate that. I hate how they want to pretend like that's historic. Ugh, hold still. Council President Ruthzi Lejeune, in a statement, said Anderson had agreed to resign. Quote, "Our residents look to elected officials to lead with integrity, and the Boston City Council must continue to do just that," Lejeune said. Oh, please, they don't trust you. "I am coordinating with council and staff to ensure that the rule of law and the rules of the body are executed effectively, as well as continue to receive information. As we continue to receive information, excuse me." Neither Anderson nor her attorney responded to a request for comment on the plea deal on whether she planned. She had denied the charges when they came after her in the first place. And we read this story a few months back. Okay. We read the story a few months ago. What she was doing was hiring members of her family, unqualified members, people who could not do the job, to work in her office and do nothing. They weren't even there. And then she would give them these big bonus checks, and they would split it with her. And she got caught. She got caught. And she denied it, although that's not true. But under investigation, it was revealed that it was absolutely true because there was a paper trail. And I forget, is this the same woman who also took a bribe from an undercover officer in a bathroom at the courthouse? I'm trying to remember because, I read a lot of these stories. Tuck says, "I'm shocked to learn there is a government corruption in a major New England city." Absolutely shocked. I know. Country Living says trolls think they're going to change people's minds. No, they're not. They're going to enforce what people already believe because they can't make a reasonable argument. I mean, yeah, it's easy to come in here and say, "Oh, you're stupid, you're racist, you don't make any sense, you don't know what you're talking about." Okay, explain why. They won't do it. They can't. They won't. Puck says she was just trying to feed her children. I know. Inspector says for everyone they catch, there's 100 they don't. Pretty much. I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised. I'm trying to remember if this is the one that took a bribe in the bathroom or if I'm thinking of a different lawmaker, because that was also in Massachusetts, if I remember correctly. Oh, it is her. Okay, okay. Here it is. Let me see. After taxes, the staffer received $10,000. She withdrew the money in several bank transactions in May and June in 2023 before exchanging texts to meet Anderson in City Hall's bathroom on June 9th, where she gave Anderson $7,000. So that she is one of the people she is the one that took the money in the bathroom. New York Patriot says, I can't help but think of the rat at the end of the movie, The Department. When I hear of Boston corruption, think of the rat. Yeah. Doesn't surprise me. Doesn't surprise me, but she denied it, and now she's busted. And there goes her career. There's so much for us, another diversity hire. Again, they put her on a pedestal when they hired her because, again, she's the first African immigrant and Muslim American. So she's an African immigrant, a Muslim, and a woman elected to that city council. History. It's history, folks. Aren't you proud? Diversity hire. And look how it turned out. Look how it turned out. Turned to corruption immediately in office in 2021, and it caught up with her. There's your DEI at work, 100%. And once again, excuse me, I'll make the argument. I don't think any foreign-born national should hold any political office in the United States. That's my opinion. Anyways. And while we're on the subject of fraud, we'll jump all the way from one coast to another. We're going to go from Boston to California, who suddenly feels like they need to investigate fraud. Suddenly feels like they need to investigate fraud. The Center Square article. Department of Justice investigating South California's homeless spending for fraud and hints that there might be arrests. And there is Governor Nuisance and Karen Bass, Mrs. I'll never leave San Francisco, I swear to God, and then has left several times. So here we go. California's new U.S. attorney announced Tuesday he is investigating billions of dollars of homeless spending for fraud and corruption and promised to arrest any individuals found to have violated federal law. California has spent more than $24 billion over the past 5 years to address the homelessness. I don't know if that's accurate because I've read articles pertaining to this before. And I thought it was 34 billion. Does that sound more correct? 32 or 34 billion? This guy says 24. But back to the quote. California has spent more than 24 billion over the past 5 years to address homelessness. That's according to U.S. Attorney Bill Essiel. But officials have been unable to account for all the expenditures and outcomes, and the homeless crisis has gotten worse. Taxpayers deserve answers for where and how their hard-earned money has been spent. If state and local officials cannot provide proper oversight and accountability, we will do it for them. If we discover any federal laws were violated, we will make arrests. They're going to have a very difficult time. Because part of the problem is that there is no paper trail. That's why. There's no freaking paper trail. So they don't know where this money was spent. It's just gone. Some 30, he says 24 billion. I thought it was 32 or 34 billion. And that's why I asked, does that sound familiar? So roughly around $30 billion missing from homelessness. Another 30-something billion missing from the unemployment. Another 30-something billion missing from COVID relief. Another 30-something billion hacked by Chinese hackers that's just gone. It's always in the 30s. You notice this? And that's a lot of damn money. It's what Fluke Man says. It's 2025, not 1925. You think everyone knows about paper trails. And they had paper trails then. They had paper trails then. Nature Nerd says taking money from a homeless fund is the lowest of the low. Doesn't sound great. No, and they don't know where the money is. And Bakari says they live in Los Angeles. They're lying. They're not building anything out there. I believe it. They're not building anything, but the money's gone. Where did they spend it? Where did it go? Spectre says these lower level palpitations who want to play the corrupt game like the big boys but don't have the skills to hide it. Palpitations? Politicians? Jimmy says, just saw on Facebook, Karmelo's GoFundMe just got deleted. Wonder if it's true. Really? Did it? I wonder. Yeah, if it's on Facebook, you don't know. You know, they put all kinds of crap on Facebook, all kinds of crazy stories on Facebook, and you go and you check it out and you find out somebody made it up, or it came from Babylon B or something. Spectre says, yes, sorry. Yeah, it's okay. Yeah, politicians is typo. No big deal. So again, they say 24 billion. I thought it was 32 or 34. It sounds really familiar to me. There's probably, that's 4 counts of 30 billion plus. That's over $100 billion just missing in the past 5 years from California with no paper trail, or practically no paper trail. You're not going to get the money back. They don't know where it went. Again, this is a government that needs to be completely torn down and restructured. The president, if I was the president, I would want to step in, put everybody on leave, put in an interim government temporarily, hold new elections, and do an audit from everything from the governor's office to garbage collection, and just find out what the hell's going on in California. And you may not be able to claw back any of that money, but at least you can prevent it from continuing to bleed. Something's got to happen. Something's got to happen. Nature Nerd says you've got to be an evil person to take money from disaster relief. Any of this money, and it's taxpayer money, you're supposed to be a good steward of that money because it's not yours. And too many of these people in political positions, too many of these lawmakers treat it like it's their own personal money, and they throw it around all over the place, all over the damn planet. And it's not their money. And that's part of what's going on now with Trump, with Doge, while everybody's mad. That's the main argument. It's not their money. If you're going to take it from people, at least be responsible with it. And we don't have that. We don't have that. We have government doing whatever the hell they want with the money. And they got so much of it, they're practically swimming in it. They're like Scrooge McFrickin' swimming in miles of cash. Oh, what are we going to do with it all? I don't know. Let's fund gay comic books. Let's fund sex change operations in Nicaragua. You got no business doing anything in Nicaragua. Bridges are falling apart in the United States, and you're funding an all drag queen chorus in Ireland. It doesn't make any sense. All that's got to stop. And everybody, oh, you're stealing our money. Your money's already been stolen, stupid. There you go. Puck says, put a military governor in charge of California and start the trials. Set up a tribunal. Flukeman says, then digital trails, assuming it was easier to transfer money without the government knowing back then. Yeah, and that's part of the problem that they've been finding, trying to audit the Department of Treasury, is how many trillions of dollars have been spent without having a number assigned to it. So they don't really know where the money went. Because the Treasury's handed out cash also. Where the hell's mine? That's always my argument. Where's my piece? Where's Miss Kitty's piece? See Miss Kitty sleeping peacefully back there? You know, it takes money to take care of her. Where's my government grant from USAID? You give it to everybody else. Raccoon says, when you tell the normies all the crap they waste money on, they don't believe you. When will people wake up? Yeah, well, and that's the argument. That's what I say about sheep. You can wake up sheep, but they're still sheep. You can wake them up to it. They're still not going to do anything about it. They're still not going to do anything about it. Incredible. Flukeman says, and tap all their phones, digital messages, take not everything they do, and meet to know which brand of toothpaste they use. Okay. Brian says to ScrewTube delete comments with links in them. I think they'll automatically delete a link without even knowing what it is. Nature Nerd says potholes all over the highway on my way to work and have to drive under speed on the side roads since they are wavy with potholes. Yeah, Puck says there's a digital trail somewhere. It's a lot for discovery, though. Cruising says, what could be done, though? You yourself had said voting does no good. Yeah, it doesn't seem to, does it? It doesn't seem to, does it? It really doesn't. What are you going to do? Here's one. We'll wrap up with the Daily Caller here. Daily Caller article talking about pro-Palestinian students. This goes to show you where their convictions are. Pro-Palestinian students fearing deportation scramble to erase opinions from newspaper articles. Well, they've had a change of heart. They've had a change of heart. Foreign students are reportedly asking campus newspapers to scrub comments on the Israel-Hamas conflict as the Trump administration deports alleged terrorism supporters. Visa holders at American universities have requested student publications to make them anonymous in articles or remove their written down commentary, such as opinion pieces, and have quit working for outlets since President Trump's return to office. The panic comes as Trump officials have worked to deport foreign nationals accused of supporting terrorist groups or putting U.S. foreign policy at risk. The trepidation around anti-Israel advocacy stands in contrast to the years of Joe Biden's presidency, where violent rhetoric is America. The first highly publicized example of the Trump administration's crackdown was its arrest of Mohammed Khalil, who helped lead a pro-Hamas encampment at Columbia University that cost the school millions in federal funding. Lawsuit, national security. But these people, and you have to wonder about the whole thing with free speech, because these are not citizens. They're not necessarily, are they protected necessarily under the same law, especially if they're inciting violence or exhibiting reckless behavior or destruction of property, calling for death to Israel, calling for death to America on American campuses and trashing those campuses, costing them millions in collateral damage and now millions of dollars in federal funding. And the most vocal of those are being told to leave. You know what? You don't like it here? Leave the country. We're going to throw you out. I understand that. And now they want to walk it back. Oh, no, wait a minute. Can you take my comments down? I thought you stood on your laurels. I thought you stood on your laurels. Now you want to take it back? You want to cover up what you said. You were brave before. Marvel fan says it's getting real now. Tuck says, I'm a mod on like 8 channels, but can't post links because I use a tablet. Interesting. And Flukeman said, stupid kids, they always behave themselves when daddy's home. Yeah, there you go, Flukeman. That's the case right there. They all had something to say. They were pretty brave. They were pretty brave, but when there's consequences, now suddenly they want to back down. Oh, wait, you mean there's actually consequences for my action? Can we pretend I didn't say that? Can we walk that back? Can you cover for me? Come on, hook me up. Come on, we're cool, right? Give me an elbow bump and put on your chin diaper and stay 6 feet away from me. Marvel fan said, hope the tariff deals work out well so we win again in 4 years with 8 years of normal life, or 8 years of normal. They all best change. And we could have some interesting changes on the horizon. It's going to be bumpy at first. We'll see how it works out. Let's go ahead and open up the debt clock. Let's open up that debt clock. Come on now. There we go. And we'll see where we are at. Tariff is still at $658 billion. The tariff clock is still moving fairly slow. But again, most of these, they're not being imposed yet. Doge savings, projected savings currently at $298 billion. It looks like it'll hit $300 billion this evening. So yeah, cranking along there, folks. We are cranking along. Again, a lot of people don't understand what Doge is doing. They don't understand what the tariffs are for. They either lack understanding or they just don't want to. They don't want to understand, unfortunately. But that's the world we live in. So with that, again, we are at the top of the hour, so I will go ahead and start signing off. You are listening to and or watching Coffee Talk, and you can find the live portion Monday through Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on YouTube on Coffee Talk and Prepper University. You can find me on X at Coffee Talk Chat. You can find me on fistfulofradio.com, podcasting out of Atlanta. Kitty stayed with me all day. Hey, Miss Kitty. Well, she stayed with me throughout the entire podcast, keeping me company. I like having them around. So thank you, everybody, for joining us here today. As always, hope you got something out of the conversation. And we will catch you again tomorrow.